So one of the fun elements of this teaching series is, well, not the least of which, even just what you're experiencing here with the acoustic instrumentation and even the song selection. Pass It On is probably a song, if you've heard it before, it may have been a while. But that's the kind of song that you would have sang if you were one of those that ever had a chance to attend a church camp and sit around a campfire like this. Around those same campfires, undoubtedly, at some point, you get done singing a few songs and somebody raises their hand and says, I've got something I'd like to say about what God's doing in my life. And for this teaching series in particular, we wanted to incorporate that element in particular. And every week, you'll hear somebody up here just doing that very thing, telling us about something neat that God's doing in their life. And this week, the person that's joining us for that purpose is Kristy Spreng. She has become a dear friend in the last few years. And if you know Kristy, you can attest to the fact that she has a passion for children that is just unparalleled. She's going to share with us a little bit this morning about how God is using that to impact this community. So put your hands together with me and welcome Kristy.
I want to thank the Lord for asking me to do this, and I guess I'll thank Rob, because when he first asked me, I was like, I'll think about it. But he said, I want you to talk about how God is everywhere. And a little bit about me, I was saved 11 years ago here at New Hope Community Church. I came in the doors with anxiety and fear that was crippling almost, and God has grown me and done great things because I just needed him so badly when I walked through those doors. So I just want to share a little piece about what's been going on just recently in my life. I was currently the children's librarian in town for 13 years. That was my first job out of college. I taught one summer at the schools and then went into the library. During that time as a children's librarian, I came into contact with a Christian woman who God just united us together for a mission for the kids. He brought us together to design an early literacy play space for infants up through 5-6-year-olds. We did a lot of research, and God gave us a lot of insight and vision and brought us together. And that baby space for birth to 2 was installed in 2011 late. During that time, we put in a second part where parents could come in and watch their children while they are doing, if they have email or want to write a resume, they can still see their child while they can still get their work done. And coming up this fall, there is going to be the final part of it, which is through 5 and 6-year-olds should be put in. But during this time, there's been a lot of prayers over the things I'm sharing with you, a lot of trials and heartaches, but it's been worth it. And watching the Lord use us for our community where everybody feels welcome and can come, especially for the littlest kids. But what's the most exciting is my coworker was asked a little over a year ago to actually write a book by a place called ALA, which is American Library Association. And it was actually in the paper yesterday. It came out with her, and a picture of her book is called Babies in the Library, and it's actually about our story in creating this space in the library. So I didn't know that was coming out. I didn't even know she was getting interviewed. So I was really excited to see. I haven't even talked to her since it was put in, but I'm just amazed at how God has used us and brought so many people within the community to make that happen. So during my time at the library, I heard a lot of things from a lot of different parents of needs within the community, just talking with them and communicating with them. And one of the big needs that was shared with me was the park at Riverside Park. There's a lot of playground equipment down there that's been there since, I think, my mom said even some of it was there when she was there. And I know it was there when I was there. And that we need new. So about 3 years ago, I contacted our village administrator and just said, how can I help you guys, put in new playground equipment at the park? And that ended up leading into, in October of this past year, I went to a friend of mine and asked her if she would be willing to start a non-for-profit agency with me that would raise money for our community, and our first project would be to put in new playground equipment for our kids and families of this area. And she said yes. And so the two of us started a non-for-profit in December of this past year. I think the 31st was one of our first to go out and start asking our community for money. We went to our local Rotary, and they were the first ones to get on board and said we would pledge $5,000 toward a $40,000 goal, which is a lot of money for our community to give. I mean, it just is. But so I was encouraged by that. My friend Angie was really encouraged by that, and so we kept going on. So this is in the midst of the library stuff going on as well. So while that's going on, then in January, well, what should I say? Actually, for the last couple years as well, God had been working on me, preparing me to leave the library, which I didn't really necessarily believe him at first because I love my job. I love the community. I love what I was doing. So I think it took a couple years to prepare me to be willing to step out and do what other things he wanted me to do. But it was hard. I mean, you're asking me to leave a salary I know, vacation time, personal days, sick leave, 13 years of accruing, money to do, to quit. This is nuts. But I thought, well, okay, it took that long to do that. So in the midst of this is going on while I'm raising this money. And during that, he said, you need to start an after-school program. I'm like, okay. That's where, if you've seen some of the stuff about Olive Tree Care, that's an after-school care program that's going to be started this fall, and I forgot to say what it meant, and I don't know exactly. I'm not selling trees. You can't come to me and get real olives, but part of what I know of what God is telling me that means is it's grafted in love. I know that that's one of the only trees that you can be cut off and replanted, and the roots will start growing again. And I want the kids and the families and the parents to know that when they bring their kids, that they are going to be loved and they're going to hear the word of God. So that's part of what the meaning behind Olive Tree is. So all these things are going on, and I thought, well, where am I going to have this program? Where is it going to be? Who's going to help me? What's going to happen? And through a lot of process, I showed up at New Hope and contacted Rob and said, do you think New Hope would allow me space in their building to have this after-school program? And after, conversations and prayers and meeting with people, it was yes, this is a need in our community. This needs to happen. We will allow you space in our building to have this. So I thought about this for a while, and I remember coming to one of the staff meetings the Tuesday before I came, and I said, are you guys really sure? I talked to her. I'm like, you sure you're going to let me? Because I'm quitting my job on Thursday. I'm putting my notice in Thursday. Are you really sure you're letting me come and use your space? They're like, yes. So I'm like, okay, I'm putting my notice in. So March 30th, I turned in my resignation as children's librarian, not actually getting to be there to see the final part of the design that my former coworker and I, that God used us to design. That was hard too, but it's just amazing what God has done. And I said, okay, so I quit my job, and I came here after I said, but I need a space where I can go to where it's quiet. I can't do it at home. I have 2 kids, a husband, a dog. Do you have a spot where I can come and just work on this paperwork through the state of Ohio, because it's about 1 inch thick and front and back, and some of the people that are in here that I bugged during that time know what it looked like and what the process of working through the state looks like. And they said, yes, we'll clear you a space. You can come in and get it done. I worked on that for a couple months with lots and lots of support. God brought all kinds of people in from New Hope, outside of the community. That's what's been the biggest blessing, because I'm like, I can't do any of this by myself. That's where all this, God has provided the right people and the right circumstances and the right time in order for things to come to pass. It wasn't nothing of me, but is letting other people come in as well and fulfill their gifts to help make this happen in our community. So after about 2 months of getting the paperwork filled out, I turned it in and I called the state and said, when will I hear back from you to know, like if this looks good or whatever. And they said, well, it'll be at least 10 to 14 days before we'll call you back and let you know, and then you'll have to submit other stuff where it's not right. Within 3 days, I got a phone call from the state saying, your paperwork looks good. When can I come do an on-site visit? And I'm like, oh my gosh, God answered this prayer so fast, I'm not ready for an on-site visit. But that's just amazing. I've kind of worked with the state some through my other job, and I mean, only God could do that and have that paperwork done and be accepted in that amount of time. I'm not even a writer, as some of the people know who worked with me. I need spell check. I'm just like, that is impossible. So that part of it has been amazing as well. So during all these 3 things kind of happening, I was starting to receive checks for Growing Mohican Families for grants that others had written for me, that I had kind of tried to help write. So, going out and going to the local clubs and different places, I started getting checks in the mail, which they never call. If somebody's going to send you a very large check, if I was going to send somebody a large amount of money, I'd call and say, hey, check's coming, so you're not surprised. That happened to me a bunch of times. These people that we had wrote grants to and things, I showed up in my mailbox one day on lunch. I left here to go home to eat, and I opened it, and there's a check for $10,000 for playground equipment. So I'm like, oh my gosh, And so with that, I was so excited, but I had nobody to share it with, so I came back over to the church, and Jeremy's in the office. I don't remember who was all here, but I was just like, look at this. Look, just look. I mean, who holds $10,000? Nobody, and I said, there's $10,000. And what I realized later after talking, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that place that we had written to, I had only asked them for $6,000. I went back and checked. That particular place that sent that $10,000, I had only asked for $6,000, and they gave us $10,000. That only God can do that. And the cool thing was, a few days later then after that, another place that we had written a grant for, there was another $10,000 check in the mail. So I'm running back here, and I'm like, this can happen to the church too. Like, look! I'm like, who would ever be so excited to get their mail? It was really awesome. And so that started the fundraising of that December 31st, and in 6 months, God provided that $40,000 to put in new playground equipment for 0 to 5 at Riverside Park. And it will be installed later this fall for our kids, for our community and families. And so I'm just really, really excited for our families and our kids, and that all the people that have come alongside to make that happen. And so with that, in the midst of all this, I'm working on this Olive Tree after school care stuff. And this program is going to be for kids kindergarten to 6th grade, and for the parents who need somewhere safe where their kids can go after school, where they will get snack, a homework help. We'll have a Bible lesson. We'll have arts, crafts, music. We have a Wii Fit, which is really cool. We can get some exercise, and we'll be outside. But I've gotten tons of donations from all kinds of a few different entities, that have just come up. I didn't even ask and say, hey, we want to give $300 to help with supplies. Step 2, Headstrom. I got balls, and I got play sets and sand tables and musical instruments. There's been individuals who just collected stuff. I have so much stuff. It's been just amazing to watch all the people that God has brought into this. And so it'll run throughout the school year following Loudonville-Perrysville's schedule. And you'll have up until 6 o'clock to pick up your children. And I'm just really excited. I'm starting to accept enrollments. I have some already coming in. So this coming Monday, actually tomorrow night here at the church from 6 to 7:30, over in the old part of the church, I want to have an open house, and it's for anybody who has, even if you're just interested to see, just to get the word out so our community knows that this is an option for them, for their children, for after school. I'm going to have a bounce house. The Croc Center is going to donate that for free, and we're going to have Bounce House over there. There's a lady that I met who has a mini petting zoo, or actually a large petting zoo, that is willing to come for free. So we're going to have, originally it was just mini animals like turtles and rabbits, but I talked to her yesterday, and she said she's bringing a donkey, so I'm like, that'll bring people in. So there'll probably be a donkey walking around outside the church, I don't know. And well, it works for me. And then she has a therapy dog called Jody, and Jody will be here for everybody to meet, and that dog will actually be our dog that will come throughout the school year that has been trained to work with. She goes into hospitals, nursing homes, schools. That dog will be here to be met and will come to our school throughout the school year. The kids can read, or the owner will read with the dog to the child. So that's all going on tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30 here at the church, and I want, if anybody, can come and spread the word and just find out what it's about. Meet me. One of the teachers that's working with me has a degree in elementary education as well. So we're really excited to see what happens with that. There was a couple things one of the things I wanted to say, when God asked me to start this after-school program, I thought it was funny because here, start your own business basically and quit your job. I didn't even own a computer. Like, it just makes me laugh, like God's sense of humor and stuff. You got to see it. It's like, you pick me, I don't even own a computer. I don't even have a laptop. And I had paperwork this thick, and I had to borrow my in-laws' computer for 6 weeks or something before I could actually even purchase a computer. So there's just been a lot of humor, a lot of prayer, a lot of trials throughout this. There's been a lot of tests, and over the last couple weeks, the enemy is coming at me trying to steal my sleep and steal my joy and all that kind of stuff, and that happens throughout this. But the one night, I remember I fell asleep at 11 and woke up at 1, and I couldn't go back to sleep, and this was going on. I'm like, no. It finally took a little bit to realize this isn't God waking me up to pray, or whatever, or go do my laundry. This was the enemy trying to get me down, trying to get me not to sleep and get worked up, and so I wouldn't keep doing what God wants me to do. And it was just interesting. I opened up one of my books that I read that has little sayings, and for that day, it was July 28th. So on the 28th, I opened this up, and it was just exactly what I needed to hear to keep moving forward and do the calling that God has placed upon my life. And it says here, take heed to the ministry which you have received in the Lord, that you fulfill it. There are many tricks that Satan will devise to hinder you from fulfilling the high calling of God which is upon your life. But it is only through great humility, the willingness to be led by me, and the utter obedience to the still small voice, that you will indeed be able to fulfill the calling and destiny which is upon your life. To every one of my predestined elect ones, I have given a special calling and gift to enable them to fulfill their eternal destiny. But many never use these gifts for me. Some never even discover these gifts. They lie dormant in their lives until death. Do not let Satan lie to you that you are proud because you see my gift. It is a special something that you have received just from me. I desire to see you use this gift. It pleases me to see that no one's talents are wasted, for many are not used because of false humility or fear. Seek my face each morning, that you may fulfill my calling for that day. And it was just encouraging for me, and God was like, share that with them, whatever is going on in your life, whatever God's calling you to, or even if you're not sure yet, or you don't know, don't lose hope. Don't let the enemy get you down. Don't let somebody else get you down. That God, all of us have gifts. I'm just floored at the different things that only God could do through me. Those are gifts that are dormant that I didn't know that was in there, but if you allow him, great, amazing things can happen. I wanted to tell you, outside to the right of the doors here, we had little olives made up that have different things that I'm going to be collecting for the after-school program. We need snacks and things like that. So there's like little olives. One might say Cheerios. One might say Fruit Cups. If anybody's willing and would like to purchase a couple of those things when you're out getting your school supplies and bring them back over the next couple weeks, those snacks will go towards the after-school program starting this fall when school starts.